I'm Joseph Grosseto, Vice President of Dynamic Sheet Metal in Brooklyn, New York. Our role was the sheet metal contractor who fabricated and installed all of the ductwork from the base of the building all the way to the roof line. We were directly involved with the ERV machines, which stands for Energy Recovery Ventilators, which is it's a type of blower which draws air from the space and discharges it outside and brings fresh air into the space. And as it travels across a medium inside of this fan box, the temperature from the space is transmitted into the air that's coming into the space, so that you are not dumping hot or cold air outside and bringing hot or cold air inside. A lot of buildings that happen to be stacked on top, not buildings, but apartments that have to be stacked on top of one another, the air becomes stagnant, especially if people aren't opening up windows. These machines create a clean air environment because you're bringing fresh air from outside into the space and discharging the air that we're constantly breathing in and out of the space. To be honest with you, it's like walking around outside. You're not recycling air that's inside. So dust is being brought outside and fresh air is being brought back into this space. The position of the building happens to be in a great location because you're close to the water, so you're getting fresh air from there. You're not in the middle of a city where you're drawing air that might be from a bus idling or something like that. So. Yes, it can. People have to be willing to make the change, though. You have to be willing to do the initial cost of spending, labor, design, construction, because it's not a typical building. It's far from typical as far as building. It's not that we're a long ways away. People are not inclined, unless they are in a specific pool of people, to do that kind of construction. I don't think we're a long way away from it. I think people just have to recognize that for all the initial outlay, there is a return on your investment. Well, you could start off with the financial benefits from it. People living in the building, their monthly expenditures are going to be next to nothing because the building is almost self-sufficient. And then you look at the aspect of what it's doing to the environment. It's a good building for the environment. You figure out what its footprint is compared to what everybody else is with a building of that size. It's not even on the same chart. I think it fits in well. I think there is a lot of questions about the building. People see the solar panels on the roof. They see the size of the building. There are a lot of people nosing around in the neighborhood. But I think it's fitting in well. I think Bob did a nice job designing a building that wasn't so, quote unquote, against the grain of the neighborhood. If you look at the building and you walk in the neighborhood and you see solar panels on the face of the building, okay, it's different. But I don't think it's that far different from what's going on in any other neighborhood. Eventually the neighborhood's going to change. A lot of that, the older buildings there are being taken down and newer buildings are going up. It will not be, in 5 years from now, that neighborhood, that'll just be like another building in the neighborhood. I never looked at it like that, but sure. Well, naturally, everything that we learned on the job, we move forward and try to implement that into a job that's going on or possibly could be going on. Customers asking us questions, how we feel about these products. Now that we've installed them and utilized them and saw them running, we can tell them the pros and cons of them. To be honest with you, very simply, the elevator. The elevator, when it goes up, uses power, but when it comes down, it also creates power that gives back to the building. I thought that was the coolest innovation in that building. Sure. I think somebody of my technical background would be a good fit for that building because there are so many moving parts that put that building together in its entirety. I don't know necessarily somebody who doesn't have a technical background would understand the benefits of that building. Maybe because I was so intimately involved in the job and I saw from the ground up, I know what everything is, what everything does, where everything is. Everything in that building has a specific purpose. The project was, it was a little bit of a difficult project, like I said before, trying to get everybody on board and change their way of how they installed certain products. But once everybody got on board, it moved along. Dealing with Bob and Mike, they were good guys. Can't say anything bad about them. I know them since I'm a child, so it's working with family. So.